there are photos of my labia.
I just picture you going, hey, Julia, babe, I just uploaded some photos. Can you just turn that into real? She opens up the phone and it's just your labia. She's like, what am I supposed to do? We put jewelry on the labia?
I don't know.
Are you piercing your labia?
I'm just imagining, because they're kind of close up. So I'm imagining her like zooming in and being like, is that a minute steak? Is that a labia? Like, where are we at?
Is that a propagation?
Is it from the deli section? Like, what is this?
Laura, you have some soft cut meats on your phone. What is that? Are you
Did you make a charcuterie board?
a charcuterie board? Did you have a dinner party and didn't ask me? Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Life Uncut. I'm Brittany.
And I'm Laura.
And I'm in studio in the flesh.
We're back together again. I was going to sing a song, but I couldn't come up with one. What have we got? We are two in the middle.
We just had a really
for love. I don't know if they're the lyrics, but we are together. Here we are. I'm very happy.
Sorry if you're new and we've lost you. That's not usually how this goes down. I've been overseas for a couple of months. We've been doing some long distance recordings and I'm back in the flesh. My feet are on Australian soil.
And my feet are on Brittany, and everything is back to the way that it should be in the life of the world.
In the life of the world.
Yeah.
I purposely, I don't know if you noticed, but I sat our seats a little bit further away so that those claw of your feet cannot touch me, because you always reach out with your little clawy, mangy toes and put them on me.
I will find you.
No, please don't.
Can I just say, firstly, I hope everybody had a great weekend. I hope everybody has had a wonderful week. I hope everybody's enjoying themselves more than Barnaby Joyce at the moment, because I think that
What do you mean? Barnaby Joyce had a great weekend. You're cool. He's loving life.
This, if you haven't seen, I'm sure you have, Barnaby Joyce was found in Canberra. He was videoed by someone just laying, he'd fallen off a garden bed very late at night on the phone to his wife and then was just laying in the street. One would assume he maybe had a few wines, but you know what? It hasn't been confirmed, so it's all just accusations at the moment. But like, why? What is he doing with his life?
I just think it's funny that this has gone viral. Like, the guy has gone out for after work drinks, is in Parliament. It was a rough day, put some bills through, he needed a vino. He decided to have a lay down, kick his legs up. Yeah, it was on the pavement in public. That's fine.
No, Britt and I were talking about this last night, and she was like, I don't know why people get so up in arms about politicians.
Let
and I was
the
like,
man live.
because they're running the country. This is the best that we've got.
Do you think he was on the phone at that point? Who do you think he was on the phone to? Joe Biden? Do you think he's making presidential decisions right now? And no, he's not. He's just probably having phone sex with his wife.
In the street.
Yeah, let him live.
It's deplorable.
And I'm not saying this because, look, I do want to make it like on record. Barnaby Joyce and I are not close. I am not tight with him. I'm not protecting him for that reason. I'm actually not protecting him. I just think it's funny that this is making the news and like people are like, just let the guy have a drink. If he was getting wasted in Parliament, it's different. If he's doing his parliamentary debate with his feet up on the ground, wasted, it's a different story.
Do you know, no. I think it's the fact that he hasn't admitted to drinking, because we don't know, right? Like, there's been no conversation about drinking. He just said that he fell off the planter box onto his side and then he just laid there on the phone with his feet up for a while, which one would think that would be an unusual decision to make if you weren't under the influence.
No, but haven't you ever fallen over or something?
And just laid there and
just
never
been
got
like,
back up?
It's too hard to get up. I'm going to hang here for a while. You know how like you drive home in the car sometimes and you're really tired and all you want to do is be in bed, like say it's nighttime. But you're so tired that you don't even want to get out of the car. And sometimes you sit in the car for like 2 hours. That's what old Barnaby was doing.
No, it reminds me of being like 18. And you know when you were really drunk, but you try and convince your friends that you weren't. And then they're like, babe, you passed out in a flower bed. And you're like, oh yeah, I guess maybe I did push it a little bit too far last night. That was Barnaby Joyce on the weekend.
Okay, prayers for Barnaby Joyce. I remember, I don't know if your friends did this. I remember in my teenage years when all of my friends and I would sneak out to parties. You know, you're in that era, like I'm staying at Sally's house and Sally's staying at Betty's house and Betty's staying at Brittany's house, and you go to a beach party or something, right? I remember the boys and like this big group of friends, because we had this huge group of friends of boys and girls. We're at this party, house party, and we were too young to be drinking and we were too young to know what being drunk was yet. You know, when you're just starting out, but it was cool to be drunk. So the boys tricked one of my friends into, they filled like this bottle of vodka or something with basically water, and they had like the tiniest bit in it. And she had been drinking it all night and she was progressively getting drunker, but there was nothing in there. They faked it. And I just thought that was so, because she was wasted. She was in the planter box at the end of the night, but she was faking it because she only had water.
I get what you're saying by this. You're saying Barnaby Joyce just did it for Instagram Live.
Yeah, he did.
He just He wanted to make the media. It was all fake. He actually wasn't drunk. And he was like, how am I going to make it back to the top of Daily Mail? I haven't been controversial for a while. You know what?
No
I'll have a
offense,
little.
Nothing's gone on for the last little bit.
I will lay down here. But I do question, when do you think is the point where Barnaby Joyce, he like goes past the point of being controversial where it's no longer. It's like you just expect it. Because you would think, like imagine if Penny Wong, for example, was laying in a planter box. You would be a little bit more like, oh my God, what's happened? This is crazy. But Barnaby Joyce does it. We all laugh.
No, Penny Wong does it. She'd be celebrated. People are like, yes, queen.
You needed a night off, babe.
100%.
You've been working hard.
Because it's not. Exactly. The headlines would be completely different. It's because,
I disagree.
No, as if she went and had a night out and she was in.
People would think she was deranged. They'd think she'd lost the plot.
Guys, they're still humans. Politicians are still human beings. I know that might shock you, but they still drink alcohol. They don't sign their life away to say, I'm never going to consume alcohol.
I don't know. I kind of put them in the same place as what I do celebrities. And if there was a celebrity rolling around on the street next to a planter box, I would feel the same way.
It was actually so funny. I don't know if you saw that, like after the fact, someone had gone with chalk and drawn an outline of his body on the pavement so it would look like a crime scene. You know, when the police have got to come back and investigate.
I did.
It was so funny.
And I actually think that this was more like an ode to the death of his career more than anything. There it is, right there on the pavement.
Do you reckon? I haven't read the headlines today. Has anything more been released?
No, not really. But anyway, I hope everybody else
had
had
Barnaby Joyce.
a better weekend than him. Okay, Britt, give me I want an update on the last couple of days. You actually had... It's going to really take it down a notch because you had the shittest last couple of days in Scotland. Ben got sick. I saw a video of you sleeping in separate beds with masks on.
No.
It was very reminiscent of like 2020. I don't even know what year I'm in, 2022.
Just COVID. No, the last few days were actually just a disaster. We had the last 3 days together and only 1 day off, okay? So he was still working, supposedly playing football and whatever. And then we had 1 day off where he had planned, bless his soul, a full like spa day for the two of us that was, you know, like thermal pools and saunas and massage and like just that we were in a really nice hotel.
Lush.
So we're supposed to spend the day together just doing #health, whatever. I don't know. Anyway, after the match, 3 days before, so he's supposed to play, then we're having the day off. After the match, he just started to get really unwell really quickly. And long story short, he ended up in hospital with this, they still don't know exactly what it was, but a hardcore infection. I'm talking vomiting, gastro, fevers. Like he had a fever of like 38 degrees plus, but he was freezing. Like he was begging for blankets. They're like, we can't give you a blanket because you're about to burn up and die. So we spent the night in the hospital and I was like the dedicated girlfriend, you know, like just nothing you can do, right? Tapping the back. That's
Tapping
it.
the back. Dedicated girlfriend. I pat his back.
But I was like tapping his back and he's like, babe, in the nicest way possible, can you not touch me? And I was like, okay, it's fine. Because, you know, when you're so unwell and you're hurting, you don't want like your skin hurts, you know, you don't want anyone to touch you.
There's nothing worse than someone patting or rubbing your back when you're like, I just want everything to stop.
See, I love a back rub when I'm unwell.
No,
that
don't touch me.
That feeling of somebody with big, slow rubs on your back is like my favorite thing to do. Anyway, he was highly contagious, so I shouldn't have been doing it anyway. So I ended up being in the other side of the room. So the next 3 days, our last 3 days together, we had to get a hotel room that had 2 separate beds on either side, and we walked around in gloves, apron, face mask. We had antiseptic wipes everywhere. We couldn't touch. We couldn't do anything. So I didn't even kiss him or cuddle him goodbye. Nothing for the last 3 days. It was a disaster.
Did you realize, were you like, I expected that we would have more sex than this and now it's ended. It ended 3 days ago and I didn't even get to fully enjoy what it was.
Yeah, I had saved like a lingerie set. I had saved it.
Did you just put it on and wear it with a face mask on the other side of the room?
It didn't
watch
land.
each other?
With the plastic gloves, didn't land. He's gone, oh, you got the latex vibe, yeah. Dance for me. No, but it was like, it just didn't. And, you know, it's fine. Things don't go to plan. But when I'm not going to see him for another 4 months, losing 3 of your last days together.
That's sad.
Is sad. And especially when one of them would plan to spend the day together. So I went to the spa. I got the massages by myself. My sister Sherry came and
You're like, well, if you won't let me pat you, I'm going to go to the spa then. Fine.
I was like, oh, it's so funny. He's like dying on the bed. And I'm like.
Not funny.
No.
Not haha.
No, not funny. But he's very unwell in his room. You know when you've been fever and vomiting for days, you can't move. And I was like, babe, do you actually mind if I just go and get my massage? He was like, just go. So I went down and got my massage. Now, I know you don't like massages, Laura. That was a big part of the live show. You don't like people rubbing you down and touching you. But
I just think they're a waste of time. I do.
They are not.
No. I like. I do like them, but so often they're just not good enough. So I leave disappointed. It's
okay.
like bad sex. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't want bad sex. I like sex, but I don't want bad sex. This reminds me. Do you remember that quote from, she's from Harry Potter, what's her name? Like Miriam Margolyes or something. And she's like, radish or sex?
Would you rather have a radish than sex?
If it was good sex, then I would rather have sex. But if it was bad sex, I'd rather have a radish.
Okay, I missed that trending, but that was very funny.
Fuck, I would rather have a radish too.
Yeah, okay, so I would rather have a bad massage any day than
Fuck that.
No, I don't care as long as someone's rubbing my body down. It's
More
long
than a good
distance.
radish? With a bit of hummus?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, hard decision. Yes, I'd rather someone be rubbing me down. So
not for me.
I go to get this massage, and I was thinking of you in this moment, actually, Laura, which is very unusual.
Were you turned on?
Yes. Is that what you want to hear? Not my partner Ben. It was you. It was you.
Well, I mean, he was in fucking latex
No,
and a
I-
mask.
I was in
Shitting himself. So I'm glad you were thinking of him.
So the lady's rubbing me down, and they start at the top, and then she was working down to the legs. It was so quiet. She was rubbing up my legs, and she was really like trying to get into my hamstrings because they're like
Straining.
they're pretty tight. I got really tight hamstring, and it was dead silent. And she'd only just started the legs, and she went up the legs, and then she just did the biggest fart, and it was so quiet. And you know when your face is down. And I just got the giggles. Like, you know, when you're like, I was biting my lip because you know when something happens and it's inappropriate and you're not supposed to laugh. So my head's in the thing and her hands are at my butt basically and she's farted and it was silent. And then she only stopped for that 1 second. And I kept going. I could tell she was like, do I say sorry, excuse me, or does she keep going? And
No, she's a professional. She just kept going.
I don't know if you've ever had this moment where something sets you off and once you've gone, you're gone. I was hysterically laughing. I was shaking of laughter. So I had to cover it up and say, sorry, I'm really ticklish on my legs. Can you not massage them? So
You missed out on the hammies.
I sacrificed my whole lower body massage because I had to cover up and say that I was ticklish because she farted and I felt sorry for her. And I think she knew. She was like, oh, you're ticklish? And I was like, yeah, so ticklish. So then she had to go back up to the top. So I just had the whole thing on the top and nothing on the bottom and a fart.
No, do you know what? I disagree, Britt. You don't need to take the fall for a fart. You shouldn't have taken that one. It's not your job to make her feel less uncomfortable.
I wasn't taking the fall for the fart, but I couldn't stop laughing and it was rude. The giggles were in full force. And anyone listening at home knows when you are set off like that, it's probably happened to me 4 times in my life, always with my sister Sherry, actually.
No, we do it in radio whenever we've got to read ads.
Oh, yeah. And you just, you can't. If someone was like, I'm giving you $1 million to stop laughing, you can't because it's set in your soul. Anyway, they were my last days. So then I said goodbye to Ben across the room with my latex glove. We put our fingers out like E.T. You know how E.T. puts his finger out? I was like, love you. And that was the last 4 days.
I mean, I know it's shit. I know.
Literally.
Literally. There was human shit everywhere. No, I know it's hard. Like, I mean, we've spoken about it loads, especially those few days after leaving where you're like, oh my God, my life is back to normal, which is weird because I've just been living this alternate life in another country.
Totally.
I know it's really hard, but we're really happy to have you back. Don't leave me again.
Okay. Well, probably will leave you again at some point. But I'm back and it feels good.
As good as the massage?
It wasn't because of the massage.
Okay, well, I mean, look, very brief update on my life. I feel like there's been a lot that's been happening. I bought some more plants. My daughter had a birthday party. Really, though, like it's set in. I bought some variegated monsteras now. If you're a plant person, that will literally get you off. You will come in your pants hearing that. And if you're not a plant person, you'll think I'm crazy, which is what my husband thinks I am. And I'm okay with that.
So I went to Laura's house last night. I had to drop some stuff off. We had some takeaway. We had a little catch up and it is a jungle. It's the first time I've seen it with my own eyes. There are plants everywhere.
It just happened.
And I want to take you back a minute, Laura. Laura she has like these little lights that she puts on everything and she cares for them. And she's got all this amazing spray and she wraps them in foil and she's propagating. She moves them around. I want to take you back a little while to when I had said on this podcast, because I also went through a plant phase a little while ago.
You killed them though.
No, I did research about Wi-Fi and how it can affect plants. And I told you and you laughed in my face. And I also brought a study to you, Laura, about how talking to your plants with like positive affirmations and telling them they're like a shit plant, like the difference, negative and positive, can really affect a plant because a plant's a living creature. And you laughed in my face and said it was ridiculous. Well, I caught Laura talking to her plants last night.
No.
Yes, you did. You were like, you good little plant.
You know,
Look at
cute
your
little-
leaf
cute little
growing.
friend. Look at that little variation. No. Do you know what you actually did? Britt came in and she brought this up last night. She told me to study. She reminded me of the moment. And then she walked around the house. She walked around the house swearing at my plants, calling them names. She was like, fuck you, plant. You're a fucking shit plant.
But I didn't mean it, but I was just trying to prove a point to see if it dies.
She was like, you're in an ugly pot. That pot's a little bit better, but that pot sucks.
I was like, how do you feel that plant has a better pot?
She was mean to all my plants in a bid to bring them down. And I just think that is so base. What a low form of human you are, that you would try and kill my plants on the spot.
I know, because it's not
I
gonna
cuddled
kill
them
it.
all better. I told them all they were beautiful and not to listen to Auntie
And
Brittany.
also, you're being really mean. I didn't judge the plant itself. I did its surroundings. Like, I told it that its pots were bad, that the other ones were getting better light.
Imagine
like,
if you walked into the office and I was like, Britt, what you're wearing is shit. That's what you did to my plants.
Oh, how the turntables, Laura, because you went for me when I brought this study up to you. I talk to my plants and I treat them well, and I don't have them next to the Wi-Fi router.
This is true. But anyway, mine are thriving and yours are dead. So let's unpack who's doing it right. Okay, no more plant chat. I'm really sorry. I know it's weird.
You've got someone from Facebook dropping over plants this afternoon. Laura's like, I've got to get home straight after the record. I was like, why? Have you got a meeting? She's like, well, someone from Facebook Marketplace is dropping me a plant over.
I bought a plant on Facebook Marketplace.
Where
but
are you
now
gonna put
I'm at the
it?
point now where I have to sneak them in because Matt can't know that I have any more. So I told Matt I was taking Lola to the park and we went to Bunnings and we bought plants. I don't know what's happened.
You have a proper, I've heard
I
of this
have a
before.
hyperfixation and it's on plants now.
Yeah, it's called plant addiction.
Yeah.
You have a
addiction.
plant addiction.
Yeah, I do.
And
I'm
there
okay with
are
it.
recovery forums for you.
It's a 12-step program.
Fuck.
Okay, something I did want to tell you guys because it's quite funny, and I don't know if because I'll hear it out. I don't know if this is going to come back to bite me in the ass.
Probably.
If I made a massive mistake here, or if maybe I got through scot-free. Okay, so at Tony May, I have a beautiful employee. Her name is Julia. She is my social media girl. She's been with us for quite a few months now. And she does like all of our TikToks and some of our reels and stuff on Instagram. She helps me create content. Now, in order for her to do that, I took into the office one of my old phones, like my, the phone that I had before this one. I was like, it's just at home. It's not being used. I took it into the office and had some of my old photos in it, but I went through and I deleted stuff. Anyway, she's had that now for probably a year, like a full year. And on Friday, something happened. She wasn't in the office. And on Friday, I was like, I need to go and get something. I'll just download it off the phone. Like it was a TikTok that she'd made and it was a reel that would have been saved into the folders. And I was like, I'll just go into Splice. I'll download it. I'll airdrop it to my phone. So I open up the photo app and I realize that every single photo from my camera roll has been syncing to the office phone.
Yes, that's what it does.
Every single one. I didn't know that they were connected. Now, I don't have embarrassing shit like dick pics or anything like that, but I
Your
have.
sex whips are on there.
I don't have because we're past the dick pic phase. We're past the sexy photo phase. But there are two things on that phone that if she went deep in my camera roll, actually there's three things. One is the birth of my children. That is on my phone. The lesser of the three evils is there's lots of photos of my face, but not taken in like a cute, I'm taking a selfie. Anytime I have like a skin thing or something, I'll just take like really expressionless photos of like a swollen eye or a pimple or like my melasma. There's hundreds of photos of me taking like weird selfies of skin things on my face. And I'm talking like I don't take one photo, I take like 50 of them. So I look insane. And then, do you guys remember how I talked about how I want a labiaplasty? Yeah. So there's photos of my labia on that phone in not a sexy way. In me trying to see like how far down does my left labia hang than my right labia. There are photos of my labia.
I just picture you going, hey, Julia, babe, I just uploaded some photos. Can you just turn that into real? She opens up the phone and it's just your labia. She's like, what am I supposed to do? We put jewelry on the labia?
I don't
Are
know.
you piercing your labia?
I'm just imagining because they're kind of close up. So I'm imagining her like zooming in and being like, is that a minute steak? Is that a labia? Like, where are we at?
Is that a propagation?
Is it from the deli section? Like, what is this?
Laura, you have some soft cut meats on your phone. What is that? Are you
Did you make a charcuterie board?
charcuterie board? Did you have a dinner party and didn't ask me? Did you have a I wonder how long and how close, like what level of zoom she had to do till she realized it was a labia.
Oh no, it's pretty obvious it's a labia. But my thing is, maybe she didn't look. So it's
She
either
looked, bro. She
It's
looked.
either-
She looked. If your boss gives you a phone that is in your possession 24/7 and it has her whole history on there, you are. I hate to break it to you. You're looking. You're going through every single photo.
Do you reckon?
Yes.
Wouldn't you tell your boss that their iCloud was syncing to the phone that you were using?
She probably assumed you knew.
So she's probably like, oh, obviously she's fine with me seeing her entire life.
To be fair, I went back through those photos on Saturday and I was like,
Did you die?
probably will get a labiaplasty, but also fuck. Did not want my 21-year-old staff to look through it. She would be like, is that what happens after birth? She's never having kids now. She's terrified. That is the best contraception you ever need, everyone.
Are you going to talk to her about it?
No.
No, HR reasons. I think you need to. I think you crossed some boundaries.
Like, I've given her trauma. Like, I've impacted trauma on my staff.
I can just see how the
far out.
conversation's going to go too. Would you like to
Anyway.
come in and discuss the labia?
She's like, I don't want to. I've seen things
Don't
like,
make me do it.
Pay me more.
Laura, I don't know if you remember a few years ago, there was this meme that was trending that said there should be an Olympics where athletes can take as many drugs as they want. Like, fuck it. Let's see how high humans can really jump. This has come into fruition. There is a new Olympic Games happening this year. It has been confirmed and it is called the Enhanced Games. What it is literally an Olympics on steroids.
Let's call it what it is. Exactly. It should be called the Olympics on steroids.
It is.
It's literally the Olympics, but on steroids.
Yeah, so this is the brainchild. Now, you guys might have seen this trending all over the news in Australia at the moment because there have been a lot of Australian athletes that have come out and commented on it. It's the brainchild of this Aussie businessman named Aaron D'Souza. Now, he has gone and got venture capitalist backing from billionaires around the world. One of them is like the PayPal founder, Peter Thiel, who is controversial in his own right. But they've basically thrown millions and millions of dollars towards this. So some of the richest people have been like, yeah, we want to go and see how far humans can go when they've got these drugs behind them. Now, this is a wild statistic, but there was an anonymous survey done on Olympians and 44% of those athletes anonymously admitted to using banned substances. But the thing is, only 1% of those athletes are getting caught. So only 1% are being banned from the Olympics because they've been caught doping or taking any sort of enhancement. But 44% have said that they do it. Now, that's nearly 50% of our Olympians. So all of a sudden, you look at the Olympics in a different light because you're like, this isn't a fair playing ground. What about all these clean athletes that are training for 4 years at a time for this one swimming race or this one running race that are not going to have a chance in hell because there are other athletes illegally doping?
Yeah, but isn't there like a wild variation between what constitutes a banned medication? Like, I'm pretty sure that they can't use nasal sprays, for example. And
Yeah.
there's like nasal sprays versus taking steroids. Huge caveat in between. So like, I mean, I guess that those statistics could probably be cut in different ways. But no, Britt has wanted to talk about this for weeks. And I was like, Britt,
You're like, why?
I was like, talking about the steroid Olympics on Life Uncut feels like a fucking weird wedge and it feels like a weird place to go. But anyway, this got me over the line. So James Magnuson, who was my co-star on Dancing with the Stars,
He's from Port Macquarie, where I'm from.
which irrelevant information, but also good to know.
But he's also an Olympian. He's a decorated Australian Olympian.
He's a decorated Australian Olympian. He's also in media and obviously, you know, I guess like has been extremely successful in his own right, but now he's a retired athlete and he had something really interesting to say on this. And this is kind of what swayed my opinion a little bit.
Yeah, there's a couple of things. Look, first and foremost, it's cash. You know, when you sit around the pub with your mates and you say, what would you do for $1 million? I'd try and break a world record for $1 million. So that was the first thing. So I'm 32 years old. As far as my athletic peak, history says that it's behind me. The enhanced games say it's not. Let's find out. Is this a genuine avenue for athletes post-career to continue their earning potential, to continue to perform at a world-class event? And the third thing, entertainment. Sport is about entertainment. Sometimes we get too caught up and take sport too seriously and think that we're playing for life or death out there. Sport's about entertainment. I want to see the fastest athletes in the world. So far that's been at the Olympic Games. We've gone from Test cricket to T20, we've gone from PGA to Live Golf, we've got Ronaldo playing in the Saudi League in soccer. who says this can't be the next Live Golf?
After listening to this, I very much resonated with what James was saying. And the reason for that is because if you do look at the normal Olympics, and I get that we have been conditioned to think that it is and it is, obviously, it's the fastest, the strongest, the most incredible athletes that are alive of their time, right? And they're all setting records and breaking records and everything, and it's incredible to watch. But I guess if it's this like underground and known thing that people within the Olympics are doing steroids or they're taking enhancement drugs, and it's kind of that taboo thing that no one talks about, it's shrouded in so much shame and secrecy and scandal because it is in essence cheating. And we saw it happen with Lance Armstrong when it all came out that he'd been doping the whole fucking time. Like scandal, scandal, scandal. What I think is interesting about this and having like two very separate Olympics is that if somebody signs themselves up to play or perform in the enhanced Olympics, they no longer can do it in the normal Olympics. So what it kind of does is it weeds out those people, right? The people who want to take enhancement drugs are going to be over here jumping higher than anyone's ever jumped. And then the rest of them are going to be, you know, going to the normal Olympics. And I guess it kind of makes it a more even playing field. And I mean, these are all adults who have full agency over their bodies. They can decide what they put into it, what they do with it. But I do think it's interesting the backlash that James is receiving from this. And there were a few commentators. One of them was NRL star Martin Lang, who has come out and said that it's disgraceful. What a disgraceful example to set for children and aspiring young athletes. And to that, I kind of think, why do we always go back to this debate of like, Think of the children. Because, and I'm not saying this to defend James by any means, but like, it's not every single athlete's responsibility for their entire life to do everything being held up as like an inspiration for children. And I know that it kind of comes with the territory, right? Like if you're a professional athlete, then you are setting an example for children, and it's like a very like camaraderie Australian thing to do. But I also kind of think, okay, these people are also doing it for their own financial gain. The thing that sets this Olympics apart is that there's going to be huge financial backing and a huge opportunity to win incredible amounts of money. And what's been dangled over Jay Magnuson's sort of, you know, the carrot that's been dangled over him is that if he can set a new record at the enhanced Olympics, which is quite a nice way of putting it, he will be up for winning $1.5 million, which is so much more than anybody would have the opportunity of winning at the normal Olympics.
But when we think about, I mean, there's so many points I want to talk about, but when we think about, you know, think of the children, what a bad example. The guy's an Olympian naturally. He's not a bad example. He's dedicated his whole life to training, to winning medals for his country, to getting where he is. Now he's at a point where he has an opportunity to see how far he can go with help to win money. He's not out there telling people to go and shoot up. He's like, when people like you're such a bad example, he's not out there partying, raging.
I mean, he might be. We don't know. He's not putting that on social media.
But he's still
doing cocaine on a Saturday night.
No, but he's decided to, under medical guidelines, take something that is, and we don't know what it's going to be. Like, we don't know what enhancements people are going to take, but under a complete medical team, like he said, he's going to go to the US to do it properly with people that this is their entire life. They dedicate to knowing what to give an athlete to enhance them. He's going to do it properly to see how far he can push his body and also hopefully win $1.5 million. Did you guys know the average salary for an Olympian is like $75,000 to $100,000? Like they dedicate their entire life. They have to train all day, every day. I know this firsthand because I actually know a few people that have been to the Olympics, and they all say it's impossible to make money. Like you can barely live. You have to beg sponsors to give you money to continue to stay afloat so that you have the chance to go and represent your country. We've had this conversation before with the women's AFL. We had Moana Hope on saying she had to give up the sport because she couldn't afford to live. The fact that now that they can do what they have trained their whole life to do under medical guidelines, and we're going to get into that in a minute, I understand why people are going to be tempted to do this. And as another Aussie Olympian, Liesl Jones, who is so highly decorated, she's also come out and said, I get it. I'm for it. I'd love to watch it. If it's going to weed out people from taking records from clean people and putting them into a doping section where people know straight down the middle, you're either in your clean Olympics or you're doping, as long as it's not taking world records from clean people. So once the doping people win their world record, as long as in the Guinness World Record books, it doesn't wipe that away. Like two separate, very separate Olympics and very separate records. I'm sort of on board with it. Also, sports entertainment, man. Imagine watching 100-meter hurdles with someone on steroids. That shit's going to be fire.
But this is the thing, right? Like steroids and steroid abuse and steroid use has always been prolific. Like look at Arnold Schwarzenegger, for example. It is well reported now that when he was at the absolute height of his fame and his success, that he was on the juice. But the thing is, he never would have admitted it at the time. And I guess now knowing that retroactively or retrospectively, like, does it change anything? I don't know. And maybe it's because we have been conditioned to think that it is so shameful. And I'm not saying this as in like, I'm also not saying this as like, think of the people on roids. I don't have sympathy for them. But I do think that we've created a system where if you are taking enhancements, it is the definition of cheating. And therefore it's the cheating that's shameful, right? So if you create an Olympics, whether you take that away and people are allowed to do and be and whatever, you kind of like clean cut that down the middle. Now, I think about this argument of, well, what example does that set for the children? And I think that that is kind of like a very base argument. The bigger argument that I worry about and that I think we will probably see is this conversation around privilege. Because if there is a huge amount of money that's up for grabs, there will be people who have money already, who come from Western countries where they have access to the right type of medication, the right type of doctors, the right type of sort of supervision for this. And then there will be people who will do these Olympics, this like enhanced Olympics, because there is so much money at stake to be won, but they're coming from a lack of privilege, a lack of money, a lack of funding, a lack of resources. And I think that that creates a power dynamic where those people will be at risk because they will take greater risks to win because the winning means more to them. And I think that that's probably the disparity that's going to be created by these Olympics.
Yeah, I agree. But I also think to some level you have to have a level of privilege to be in the clean Olympics anyway, because nobody can train day in and day out in a sport without having some form of assistance. Now, a lot of Australians, I can't speak around the rest of the world, but you have to have gotten to a certain level by a certain age yourself, and then you can go to places like the Australian Institute of Sport and you can get scholarships that will help you from there. But I think there's always some level of privilege in anyway. But when we turn to safety, because the next big conversation is safety, you know, like this is so unsafe, people are going to be having heart attacks and pushing themselves too far, and that's absolutely accurate. I think people probably will do that if they're not doing it properly. But it's interesting what Aaron D'Souza, who's the founder, what he says about it. He says, let's be clear, drug testing is about fairness, not safety. Enhanced Games aims to be the safest sporting event in the world. At the Enhanced Games, we prioritize athlete safety first. In partnership with top scientists and clinicians, we're developing a full system medical pre-competition screening protocol to protect athletes competing in the Enhanced Games. What he's saying is, and I'll summarize it because he goes on for a long time, basically they're putting together a whole lot of physiological tests, heart, blood, cholesterol, and they've got all of these levels that you can't be above them, right? So there's still going to be a level of safety. They're like, you cannot go and compete till we've done a full physical on you. And if you are in a level that is not safe, we won't let you compete because we're not going to risk you going out there and having a heart attack. That testing isn't done in the Olympics and it's not done in most sports. The only testing that is done is a piss test to see if you're on the drugs, but they're not testing that you're safe to go and perform.
Yeah.
So in fact, if this is true, this will be a safer sport because every athlete is going to be tested before they go out.
I mean, the counter argument to that though is, so when someone gets ruled out of the competition, it's because they've already reached a level that is unsafe to them. So there will be people that topple over that may be then ruled out of competing, but they've already done that abuse to their body. There are side effects from anabolic steroids like infertility, erectile dysfunction, hair loss, severe acne. Like there are other things that can happen. I mean, I'm sure people are quite happy to forfeit some of those things in order to win a lot of money. But I guess it comes down to not just the short-term effects that you're having on your body to compete, but what are those long-term effects that you're having on your body, which people can't test for because it could be showing up in a decade's time. Look, overall, do I want to see someone jump fucking 4 meters and, you know, run faster than Usain Bolt? Yes, I would watch it. Do I want my kids to be aspiring to be doping athletes? Probably not. But also,
what do you want to be when you're older? Oh, nope.
I want to be a doping athlete. But I also think that there's many other things that I think we need to like protect the kids from. And I think ultimately we do live in an age now where there is this incredible push towards science-based wellness and this idea of like how far can you push your body. I mean, there's people like Brian Johnston who we've spoken about. I think we spoke about him on radio, so it may not have been on the podcast, but we spoke about he's this guy who's like fucking in his 50s or 60s or something, and he's trying to find the fountain of youth.
He spends millions of dollars a year on having a full team of people to reverse his age. He even takes the blood from his sons to re-put them back in his body to try and hold on to his youth. Like, he's extreme.
It's insane. But there is the technology that's out there. And I think, you know, you can fight the system or you can swim with the river sometimes. And I think in this instance, it is the base of entertainment and it is swimming with the river. I'm not saying that I don't have any sort of like reservations or apprehensions around it, but I do think it'll be entertaining and I think it'll get the views.
Do you know what I think? I think this is really shocking right now. Like, everything is when the world is progressing and there is the first time for something. We're breaking the rules for the first time. When marijuana became legal for the first time in a country. It's so shocking and nobody can get their head around the fact that this could be the way of the future. But I think this will be the way of the future. And at the end of the day, people have autonomy over their own body. And if they are making the decision to put that into their body to do this, who are we to stop them? And also, if it is going to be making sport as we know it cleaner, safer and fairer, and these individuals are making the decision on their own, who are we to not watch it? I'm going to get the popcorn, sit back and enjoy it.
I think it's probably the fear that too many people, especially when there's no money to be made in the Olympics, too many people will turn away from the traditional Olympics, and that maybe this might become the benchmark rather than the exception. Because at the moment, there's like 900 athletes who have signed up across, like 900 professional athletes across the world who have put their hand up and said that they would consider
they're already
doing
doping.
It. You know, yeah,
like, fine,
totally.
I've been doing this for years.
And you know, some of them are retired. Some of them are looking for a way to get back into the sport where they've made their money from previously or their income from. But also, it makes me think, okay, and I know that this might be a little bit of a tenuous link, but hear me out. I think about drug testing and pill testing at festivals, right? And the argument of like, well, if you do pill testing at festivals, more people are going to do pills. It's the same argument. Mm-hmm. I don't know whether it means that it's going to result in more people doing it or it's more visibility. Maybe it will, because I guess we do celebrate athletes, and so therefore having someone who's winning the doping Olympics would mean that they're more celebrated. But I don't think it necessarily means that it's going to have this direct impact on people wanting to take steroids. But, you know, I guess we have to wait and see. There's enough people. There's enough people at the gym on creatine. Fuck, I've got like 4 tubs of that shit in our cupboard at the moment. Matt and his protein and creatine.
Maybe Matt's going to sign up. You do need more money for propagation.
You do. Think about all the Monsteras I could buy if that
Guys, we had some fucking funny accidentally unfilters come through this week. This is where you write in your most embarrassing story. My favorite ones are where you're actually living it. Like, you've written to us and you're like, oh my God, this is happening to me right now. I've locked myself in my bathroom. When you are thinking of us in your moment of crisis, it honors me.
We feel connected to you, like a deep connection.
Okay, this one gave me a chuckle. And it reminds me of something you told us at the start of this episode, Laura.
Minute steaks. Is it got something to do with deli meats?
She was not at the deli, no. I started a new job recently working from home, and I love listening to audiobooks. Now, while working in the privacy of said home, I have been listening to the 50 Shades of Grey books. I'm up to episode 3. I also like to listen to many other steamy stories. My boss just sent me a random email that said, "Hiya, just wanted to bring it to your attention that our work-issued laptops record everything all day long." My boss had been listening to me listening to audio porn while on work hours. Who is at home typing a thesis listening to 50 Shades of Grey? On work hours.
50 Shades of Grey is fine. That's fine.
Whilst working.
I don't mind. It's also, okay, if you've read that book, it's the softest
Keeshia, if
fucking
you are
beige
listening
porn.
to 50 Shades of Grey while you're at home working, you're fired. But you can't listen to
Poor
porn.
Keeshia.
Keisha's
Why
like,
did she
I wrote
get-
that in. No, because I was just thinking of like my employee. I was like, if my employee was working, and Keisha's our only one. So I was like, if my employee was at home working, listening to porn simultaneously. Sorry, Butterboy, we have 2 employees now. Butterboy's in the corner being like, what am I, a ham sandwich?
A deli meat?
I mean, like, I love porn, love audio porn, nothing against that, but I don't think you can be working and listening to porn.
Okay, I disagree because I do not think... Everybody needs a bit of relaxation in their lives. I do not think that 50 Shades of Grey is porn. It's just a book. I think it is the most vanilla porn that you could ever read. And I think what's the difference between having a podcast on in the background versus listening to like an audiobook? Also, if you're going to record your stuff, at least tell them. Tell them beforehand. Don't tell them after the fact.
Oh yeah, that's a whole nother
That's
discussion.
not okay.
No, you can't just have a secret squirrel laptop that records at home.
It's actually like, no, I'm not okay with this. And also, why are you recording them? Because they're working from home, so you want to make sure that they're sitting in front of their laptop all the time. Like, there's so many layers of you're not in the wrong here by listening to 50 Shades of Grey. Your employee is wrong.
I assume it's not video recording. I think it's just what's coming out of. It's just because it's a work laptop that's only supposed to be used for work purposes. I'm assuming he just has access to the work laptop. He's logged in and listened to her porn. That's my assumption. But yeah, I'd scream illegalities. I think there's some problems there.
Anyway, guys. All right. Well, that is it from us today. Give you a little heads up on tomorrow's episode. We are doing an episode all around anxiety. We're speaking to Anna, the anxiety coach. It's been ages since we did a deep dive on anxiety. It is something that I think a lot of people will be able to get something out of, how to manage anxiety. Also, like the prevalence of it. Is it something that's increased recently? Because I think that there's so many more conversations around anxiety these days. Is that nature? Is it what we're being exposed to? Or is it that we're more able to speak about it? I think is a really interesting thing to unpack. Anna is a complete expert in this topic. So if you or someone in your life struggles with anxiety, this will be an episode for you. Also, if you're single and you're feeling anxious about it, because tomorrow's Valentine's Day, what a day to have that on, hey?
Yeah, we really skimmed over the fact that it's V-Day tomorrow, isn't it?
I just think Valentine's Day is such like a crock of shit.
I say that, but like I've never disliked getting a present on Valentine's Day. But I agree with you. But like I don't expect a present, but if I have one, I'm not going to be like, I can't believe you got me a present.
Like, speaking of, I've gotten Matt nothing and I have not thought about it until
But you
this
never
moment.
do.
I'm really bad with presents. I'm really bad.
Why would you buy him a present on V-Day when you think it's a crock of shit? That defeats the whole purpose. Buy him one next week just for the sake of it.
I know. I just think, you see everyone there at Woolies at 2:00 in the afternoon who forgot to get a present. They're getting a shit card and a shit flower. And it's just like, there's no thought, And it's not about not buying something from Woolies. That's not my point. My point is like, if you left it till 2:00 in the afternoon to buy something on Valentine's Day, you might as well not do it at all. Anyway, that's my rant.
Yeah, wow. I'd still take it if you buy it at 3:00.
That's it from us, guys. You can go and follow us at Life Uncut Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, join the discussion group, and you know the drill.
Tell your mum, tell your dad, tell your dog, tell your friends, and share the love because
We love love!